Welcome to Columbia Access Television. Welcome to Columbia Access Television. What's going on? A program designed to enlighten you with what is really going on in Columbia and surrounding areas. My name is Bishop Lorenzo Lawson. I'm your host that love you the most. And with me on the set are my guests, two of Columbia's most distinguished citizens, Mr. Steve Calloway. Mr. Calloway earned a pharmacy degree from St. Louis College of Pharmacy. He is currently holding the position as head pharmacist at the University of Missouri Healthcare Complex in Columbia. Also, Mr. Calloway is the president of the Minority Men Network, one of the members, and he is one of the members of the mayor's anti-violence task force. Welcome, Mr. Steve Calloway.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to share with us what's really going on in Columbia. Also, we have one of the most dynamic young community activists with us today, Ms. Karita Moss. Ms. Moss earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from the University of Missouri here in Columbia, and a master's degree in Business Administration with William Woods University. Karita is one of the founding members of the Silence to Violence Columbia Nonviolence Initiative, and Karita is also the program director of the Youth Empowerment Zone. And I will allow her to elaborate on that a little further. Welcome, Ms. Moss.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming to share with us what is really going on. Before we start the dialogue, I want to let you, our viewers, know that you may participate in this conversation through several means. Number one, you are welcome to become one of our live studio audience. Or you can just email my director, Ms. Jennifer Erickson, at wgo@columbiaaccess.tv, or you can call at 573-442-4447 to VIP, VSP, reserve your seat in the audience. Number two, you may get into the conversation via Twitter. Just use hashtag COMOWGO. Again, the Twitter site is hashtag Columbia, is COMOWGO. And thirdly, you may email us while we are live with your questions or comments at wgo@columbiaaccess.tv, all one word, or call the studio talk line at 573-876-7158. Before we get started, we want you to know that this show will be re-aired every Monday and Wednesday and Friday at 8:30 a.m. on the different channels, depending on what your outlet is. And also at 6 p.m. on every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the month of December. Our next show is going to be aired on January the 7th, 2014. So we would just want to invite you, and we encourage you to come out and be a part of our live audience. We want this to be a community show. We want you to participate. We want to get your opinion. We want to get your suggestions of new shows and the likes. So thank you for tuning in, and we're going to get started with our dialogue. Now back to my guests. Mr. Calloway, I believe my audience want to know what's really going on with the Mayor Anti-Violent Task Force.
Hey, great, Lorenzo. Thanks for inviting me on the show today. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's a great setting, and you're looking great, man.
Thank you.
First of all, I do want to correct just one piece of information. I am a pharmacist at the University Hospital, but I'm not serving in the role as a manager.
Okay.
But I do work there, and I'm on special assignment in the department, so pretty
Okay.
excited about that.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you. So the Mayor's Task Force, we got started in August or so of this year, somewhere thereabouts. And the group is a talented group of community persons who have a range of expertise and a range of experiences. I think if you look at the resolution that the city passed, or the council passed, they had several things that they wanted us to focus on. And among those things, there were some youth things, but there were also some things about reoffenders, the reoffender community. So we have some experts that are there that have experience with the criminal justice system, with the courts, the juvenile justice system, and we also have some folks that have experience with the reentry side of things as well as folks like yourself who are doing work on the committee with youth in the community and around programs that are intended to uniquely serve our youth who are at risk, or as I like to think, at promise. Really.
Okay.
So in terms of what's going on with the committee, we are working and we've been looking at quite a bit of data around violent crime in the Columbia community. One of the things that I think we need to make sure of, and I like that the committee is looking at, although we have to keep reminding ourselves, is that this is not just about youth violence. It is the task force is charged with looking at community violence. However, we do know that one of the things I think going into it is that we know that when youth don't have things to do, when youth are looking for opportunities in general, oftentimes the opportunities to get involved in the wrong things often happens. So as far as what the task force is working on, we're involved in a process, and I think that's pretty important, is that it is a process of trying to get at what is really going on in our community, what do we need to learn about crime in our community and how it's being dealt with now. So we looked at crime statistics and try to narrow down our focus on some of those things. So it's a process right now sorting through that to see what kinds of trends we can come up with, what kinds of inferences and conclusions we can draw from the information that we have available, as well as then look at some best practices of what other cities that are similar to us, or maybe not so similar to us, might be doing.
Okay, well, thank you. Before we go any further, I was remiss to mention that we do have some folks in our audience, and if they feel like they want to ask a question for any one of our panels or myself, my director, Jennifer, have a microphone that you can use, because we want the people at home to be sure to hear what your question is or your comment. So we want to thank you for coming out, and we encourage you to invite friends and families and community members at our next showing, which will be January the 7th at this same place at 5 o'clock. And we're looking to even expand that. So thank you for coming. And feel free to raise your hand if you have a question or a comment, and we'll be sure to get that in. Now, back to my guest, Ms. Moss. I think my audience would like to know what is really going on with the Silence the Violence Coalition.
Well, the Silence the Violence Coalition is doing a number of things right now. One of the things that we're really trying to be sure that we do is to get the pulse of the city, what's going on right now, to be able to make our effective moves as we're moving forward in 2014. One of our next moves is to meet again beginning of the year 2014 to put to strategy the things that we found out over this past 6 months. We've been really looking at the community dynamic, what's going on, what organizations are out there extending an arm towards the issue of youth violence and community violence. And so one of the things that we found very important is to make sure that we have a correct heartbeat and pulse of what's going on in the community before we move even further into the initiative. So we're really trying to make sure that we have everything under consideration, so that when we're moving forward in 2014 of January, we have a correct assessment of what's going on.
Well, thank you. That sounds like a strategic plan that's going to be put in place for us attacking this issue of community and youth violence. You know, this is a topic that's very dear to me, and I believe that the community is really stepping up to try to find some solution in this area. Again, I wanna give our TV viewing audience the different methods in which they can participate in this conversation. Number one, you're welcome to become one of our live studio audience. Just email my director, Ms. Jennifer Erickson, at wgo@columbiaaccess.tv. And you can call from Tuesday to Saturday. I believe the hours is 11 until I think 7, but it's during that time, and you can call at 573-442-4447. And if you want to actually be a part of this live conversation today, you may get in on the conversation via Twitter. Just use hashtag COMOWGO, capital CO, capital MO, and capital WG small o. Let me say that again. It's hashtag capital C, small o, capital M, small o, capital W, capital G, and small o. Como WGO. And thirdly, you may email us while we're live with your question or comment. And you can email us at wgo@columbiaaccess.tv. Or you can call to our studio talk line, and that number is 573-876-7158. Now back to my guests. Mr. Steve Holloway, now you are the president of the Minority Men Network. Now, can you tell my audience what the Minority Men Network is? And secondly, what you guys are doing to help combat this surge of community violence?
Great, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the network. The Minority Men's Network is a group of men, primarily African-American men in the Columbia area here. We do have some guys that were formerly in the community that have moved away that we still consider members of the network as well. And what we are is that we are men that are involved in all aspects of the community, everything from myself and my role in the healthcare, to men that have been part of business, to men that serve in education, just a whole variety of professions and experiences that the men bring to the organization. We have two portions of the network. One is the network, which part of what we intend to do is that we want to have a role in mentoring youth, and we want to also be men who represent, I'll just say, we represent upstanding men in the community. In other words,
Role models.
Role models, exactly. Thank you. Gentlemen that are role models, or men that are seeking to be role models also. That's part of what it's about when you're trying to mentor young people and older people as well, is to try and create a network of people in the community to share whether social things or to share experiences or to share guidance and advice among ourselves as well. The Educational Foundation, which is part of the network also, is intended as a nonprofit, and what we do is we provide a scholarship each year to a high school student in Columbia Public Schools. And the Ed Foundation is also organized around a number of different things as well, and we are trying to again, through that Ed Foundation, we try to provide service to the community. One of the things that we do, that if we want to talk about how are we trying to help silence the violence, it is through our involvement in the silence the violence movement. So we bring men to that effort to assist in whatever projects and things may be going on. The other thing, and so we try to provide leadership. Leadership is what I would probably say the main purpose of the group is, to try to bring leadership to our community. By having African American men serve as role models to our young men and young women, for that matter, in the community, we think that one of the problems in Columbia is that you don't see African American role models in a variety of different roles in our community. You don't see them in city government. You don't see them necessarily in education. And where there are, there's nothing to bring attention to those men in the roles that they are serving. So that's one of the things that we try to do by connecting our men to different things that are going on, bringing attention to things that guys are doing as well, and serving the youth and the rest of our community also. One of the things that we do that is a direct service, we're not really a service provider per se, but one of the things that we do is that we have a reading program with the Norris Stewart Early Learning Center. And so every Wednesday, one of our guys goes over and reads to the kids for about 15, 20 minutes. And it lets those kids see somebody in front of them that, one, knows how to read, and then number two, someone that is there and has them in mind, someone that lets them know that they care about them and that they're concerned about where they're headed, and emphasizes the importance of reading and education and learning.
Thank you, Steve. Before we go any further, I would like to mention to my audience that there's going to be several things that's going on during this month for us gearing up for the holidays. Columbia Park and Rec, they're going to have some special events going on, and I would like to direct you to the Columbia Mo, Go Columbia Mo website, and you can click in on the Columbia Park and Rec and find out the events. Also, the Convention and the Visitors Bureau are going to be doing many things, and you might want to click in on the Chamber of Commerce and the Convention and Visitor Bureau website. And last but not least, the First Columbia, which was the previous event for the New Year's Eve event in Columbia, it's going to be, I think it's E-Columbia now or something like that, but they're going to have some Columbia Eve Fest. That's the name of it. And they're going to have a bunch of events. So look in on the city website. You might want to look in downtown, but they're going to be posted at different things. And we would encourage you to take your children and get involved in some of these events. And definitely, there's going to be plenty of things for us to do and keep them involved. And that's one of the things about combating this violence, is providing positive opportunities for these young people, which bring me to my next guest, Ms. Karita Moss. Ms. Moss is the program director for the Youth Empowerment Zone. So can you give us some ideas of what the Youth Empowerment Zone is doing to help out in this, what I call a war against violence?
Certainly. The Youth Empowerment Zone is designed specifically to combat just that. We're designed to proactively reach the youth. So that means wherever they are, wherever they're hanging out, wherever they find as their hotspot, we'll go to them, find out what they need, find out what can help them, introduce them to ideas of activities and empowerment. They don't have to just be out on the streets trying to find something to do. We have opportunities for you to come to our center. We have a youth lounge that's there and open from the times that we are there. We're there from 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock and sometimes even later, because our mission and our role is to be there for the kids. So if we need to be there a little bit later, we can do just that. And so we have the youth lounge there. We also have a computer lab there where we can offer times for the youth to be able to look for jobs, get their resume ready, just whatever they need. Some of the kids just like to be there, so they check up on Facebook. But the meat of the matter is that they have a place that's safe for them to go to do something productive around people that they can see that they care about them. And so Youth Empowerment Zone is designed for just that. And so not only with our activities there, but we also have program that's designed to keep them, doing something productive. We have our mentor program, where we have that mentorship that is so important for our young and our male youth, to be able to come, to have mentors and role models there, to take them to see basketball games or football games. We've had Xbox tournaments and all kind of different things that really appeal to the youth. And so we make sure that throughout the month that we have a number of activities where the youth can come in, find their spot on their nice, lovely couch that they like to sit on, and be able to have fun and feel that they're in a family atmosphere around people that care. And then we also have our girls empowerment. We do the same thing, different opportunities for the girls to come together, safe place, talk about what's going on in school, help them to understand that their grades have to be up to par if they want to achieve the things that they want to achieve. So just really having that one-on-one conversation with the youth that come in, that's one of the things that we found that has been most encouraging to the youth, to have those one-on-one conversations, to meet them where they are and kind of help them along in their journey to see that, hey, I can achieve what I want to achieve. Sometimes you just need somebody that's there that cares about you. So that's what we do.
Now, there's some emphasis that you guys are focusing on. What are those emphases?
Well, a lot of everything that we do at the Youth Empowerment Zone, we have a fourfold focus. That's empowerment, that's education, that's entrepreneurship, and that's employment. So all of the program, all of the things that we do are around those four pillars, because we found that at the core of it all, one of those four pillars, if not all, is the areas in which we can best be a support to our young people. So if they have employment, they feel empowered. They feel like, hey, I can do anything that I set my mind to. So then, hey, I want to go to school. I want to get my GED. I want to go to college, go to trade school. Just by that one pillar being addressed, they then have hope and thoughts towards doing something else. So education. And then if it's not that, employment. Some people don't find their niche in customary jobs. And so we encourage them. Entrepreneurship is an opportunity for you, because if you don't want to fit in a niche per se, but you've developed a niche, let's support you in developing that entrepreneurial business. So education, employment, empowerment, those are all of the things that we really focus on at Youth Empowerment Zone to help the youth.
Now, and you guys are expanding. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
We are really excited about the opportunity to expand. We are currently at Roger Street, and we are bursting at the seams. A number of times that we've had to try to be creative in our scheduling because we couldn't fit everybody in for our programming. So right now what we are doing, we are moving into the old Boys and Girls Club location. So that's at 1002 Face Street. And so what we're doing right now is we're in there, we're renovating, we're getting it ready so that it can be a place where the youth can come in and further be supported, further be connected with ideas of empowerment, further be empowered to do different things in their journey. So that's where we are right now. We're always looking for those that would want to volunteer to help us and support us in this endeavor. It's a big endeavor, but with the community that we have, which a community with such a big heart that Columbia is, I know without a shadow of doubt that we can pull together and make sure this endeavor is pulled off without a hitch. And so right now we're in about phase 2 of it all. And so we're looking for those that would like to help supporting painting, putting down flooring, construction work. If that's an area that's your expertise, we could certainly use the support.
Well, thank you. Well, we got a few more minutes, and I want to open up the mic to anyone in our audience that might have a question for either one of my guests or myself. You can feel free, just raise your hand, and Miss Jennifer will bring you the mic if there's any questions or even a comment. Yes, sir.
Yes. I am one of the mentors at Youth Empowerment Zone, and I hear a lot of times in my religious circles at church, how do we reach these guys? How do we get them off the street to come in? Because it's kind of difficult, and what I am finding is that a lot of guys my age, there's a disconnect with the youth, and there's a sense of fear of approaching the youth. Because I've worked with the Youth Empowerment Zone, I don't operate from this space of fear. But I often find myself at odds with how to express to them because what works for me, I'm not bashful. I'll go up to people, hey, you want some computer skills? Hey, you want to do that? Not everyone is wired that way. So, what else could you recommend to the brothers out there and the sisters who are trying to reach out, they just don't know how?
Good question.
Very good question. I think what we found, the best way to relate and the best way to encourage that interaction is through real relationship. Because what you'll find is that our young people are very keen on knowing who is for them and who is there to support them. And so I would suggest those mentors and those persons that are interested in being that hand to someone is as long as you come at it or you come at the youth with the real intention to help them, they'll recognize that. And from that real place that you're coming to them with, they'll be able to connect with you. And then on the second end of that is being able to find a connectivity point. So if there's a youth that wants to do computer skills, that's their connectivity point. But if they have a connectivity point that's different, then that's okay. Then refer them to someone that has their skill set that they're looking to get that support in. So it's just about that realness and the relationship and being able to connect where their area of need is. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, that's a great response. I love that. And my addition to that
Quickly.
would just be is that there are a lot of different things. Look for opportunities in the community that are across a whole range of things. Like if you don't like older kids that are sometimes intimidated, go with the younger kids and things like in-school mentoring programs where it's a controlled environment. Sometimes just starting in with something like that gets you more comfortable being around kids because when it comes down to it, they're just kids. I mean, they're still kids. Even they shouldn't be scary to us.
Well, thank you for tuning in to what's going on. I want to thank our live audience. We are encouraging you to invite somebody back with you next month. We'll be here January the 7th at the same time. And if we get enough interest, then that can even expand. So it's up to us. As my director said, this is our television station. We got a right to input how we want it to be. So keep being involved. I want to thank KATV and its wonderful staff, Jennifer, Sean P., Jimmy, and Justin. And most definitely, I want to thank my guests for coming out today. But most importantly, I want to give special thanks to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. It's because of him I'm here today. Well, all good things must come to an end, but this is not really the end. It's really the beginning because I believe that the best is yet to come. Hey, have a marvelous Christmas and a fabulous New Year's. We will see you next year. Until then, remember, I'm Bishop Lorenzo Lawson, your host that loves you the most. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about that. Thank you for tuning in to what's going on. And we're going to make sure that you find out what is really going on in Columbia. Thank you.